Hey, everybody. We're about to go live on the radio. Hope you enjoy today's show. We'll get you some opening music here once we get past the disclaimer.
Yes, the legal disclaimer.
From lawyers. Shocking.
Welcome to Aging Insight, the only show dedicated to your elder care concerns and your resource for learning about how to manage your health, housing, financial, and legal needs. This is a live call-in program featuring John Ross and Lisa Shoalmire, elder law attorneys and senior advocates for the ARC Latex. Aging Insight is dedicated to helping you navigate the challenges and blessing of growing older. So call in and ask your questions. The number is 903-793-1071. Now here are your hosts, John Ross and Lisa Shoalmire.
Welcome to Aging Insight, everybody. This is your host, John Ross, here live in the studio on this chilly February 9th of 2019.
Yes, it is chilly, even in Texas. You know, I think it was last weekend we were, having a lovely 70, 80 degree day, but, it's the South, and the weather, there's just no telling.
Yeah, no, that's right. So yeah, it's cold out there, and so stay inside, turn on your radio, and get informed.
That's right. So Aging Insight comes to you live nearly every Saturday. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah, we are. We've been here every Saturday for a little while.
Yeah, but we are live, and the reason we do that is so you actually can call in, ask a question, something that's burning at the top of your mind that you want a couple of lawyers to try to answer for you. Try to keep it within the Aging Insight subject matter.
That's right.
I'm not, but the number to call in to ask that question is 903-793-1071, because, we have been doing this for years now so that you can, get information. Get informed. These days, the world is so complicated. I think it's gone half crazy, but you need information because you have to advocate for yourself, but you might need some help, and that's where we come in to help equip you to do that. And so we appreciate you listening. John, I got to meet with a client earlier this week that has been a longtime listener of Aging Insight, and appreciate that very much. I love when they tell us they listen.
Yeah, that's the thing about radio. You have no idea if anybody's on the other side of that microphone.
That's right. So that kind of encourages us to make sure that we come in every Saturday to be live on the air. But we, John, radio, it's free to the listener, but it's not really free to produce.
That's right. So we always like to give a shout out to our sponsors. And most of these sponsors have been with us for a long time. So if you see them out there in the community, give them a shout, tell them you like the show and you appreciate their sponsorship. So special thanks to Dirksen Memorial Hospice, Edgewood Manor, Barnett Agency, Cowhorn Creek Estates, Texarkana Funeral Home, Red River Federal Credit Union, Reunion Plaza, and Heritage Plaza.
Yeah. So thanks. They throw in a little coin to make sure that we can be live on the air and be a resource for the listeners out there. So use it.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Lisa, I guess last night you were over at the Night to Shine.
Oh yes, I was partying down last night over at the Texarkana, Arkansas Convention Center. It was the Texarkana second annual Night to Shine. This is what you might call a prom event for special needs teens and adults. And we had probably upwards of 300 special needs participants who came out with their chaperone or escorts, and tons of volunteers from our Texarkana community who volunteered to do everything from decorate to play music to supervise the hot chocolate bar to run the golf carts to the parking lot. It was a great event. I got my dance moves on the dance floor. There were some high school students out there who were, cheering for our participants that came out to the Night to Shine special needs prom. This is, I think it's fifth or sixth year nationally for that program.
Yeah, started by Tim Tebow.
Yeah, started by Tim Tebow. It's amazing what a young man with, a Heisman Trophy and a name can get behind it. It just mushrooms. But I'm so glad it has. And hopefully that's just going to continue to be an annual event for our special needs adults. They had a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll see some of you out there next year. You could always use volunteers and supporters. I think it's always whatever this Friday was, second Friday in February.
Yeah,
First
that sounds
Friday in
about right.
February. Anyway, they had over 600 of these events across the world last night.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, all coordinated to happen on the same night. I know that Shreveport had one because my sisters.
Your sisters.
Yes,
Yeah,
I had one that was participating as a participant with special needs, and I had my other sister was a volunteer down at the Shreveport dance. So, but wow, 600 events across the world, not just in the United States. Anyway, so I could go on and on.
Yeah.
But thanks for giving the shout out.
Yeah, no, that's right. It really is a fantastic event. It's just, I visited with 4 or 5 families just this week who have adult special needs family members that they're taking care of, and there's a lot of challenges involved in all of that, but there's also a lot of fantastic moments in all of that.
Yeah, no, I saw a lot of my clients out there and families.
Yeah,
I think they were a little shocked to see me and out on the dance floor, but hey, lawyers are people too.
That's right. So anyway, we got an interesting kind of story to start off the show, and that'll kind of lead us into our topic. But the computers we have in our office, I find to be somewhat frustrating.
Okay.
And the reason is because about every 2 or 3 months, it makes me change my password to log in.
Yes, it's supposedly designed to keep these systems secure.
That's right.
And who does it keep it secure from, John?
Mostly the person who's using it, right? It's keeping it very secure from me. I don't know that anybody else really cares to be on my computer.
Well, the funny thing is I've seen that sticky note that you have hanging around your computer.
Yes, there's about 15 different passwords that I've had to change.
Very secure.
Yes, very secure sticky note on the side of the screen. Yeah, probably all the security experts out there listening are cringing.
Yeah.
But it was kind of. I was also thinking about one here recently, and I don't remember if it was a website or something, but it was one I hadn't used in a while. And so when I went to log in, it asked me for my username and my password, and I put in what I thought the password was, and it said that was wrong. And I tried a different one, and that was wrong. And I tried a third one, and that was wrong. And so finally, I just said, okay, well, you can click the little button where it says retrieve password.
Right.
And I clicked the little button to retrieve the password, and it sent me an email to establish a new password. And I click on that email, and it takes me back to the website, and it says create a new password. And I type in a new password, and it tells me that password can't be the same as my old password.
Right. Yeah.
Now that's dang frustrating. That's a good way to get the computer thrown right straight out the window.
Yep. Yeah. No, been there.
Yeah. So, the passwords and stuff can be somewhat frustrating. But now imagine this. Imagine you walk into your bank and you've got a little cash money in the safety deposit box.
Okay.
Behind the big vault.
Oh yes, that vault room.
Yes, the big vault with that giant wheel on the front of it.
Yes, and the bars. Yes.
Yes, and all the bars and everything. And so you go in, you walk into the bank, and you tell the teller, you say, "Hey, I'd like to get into my safety deposit box because I've got a little money in there I want to pull out and spend." And the bank people say, "Well, we're terribly sorry, but the only person that knew the combination to the lock on the big safe was the bank president. And
And
he
you're like,
died.
hey, well, oh,
Yeah, he's dead.
okay.
He's dead. He was the only person that knew the combination to the big vault. And so you've got money. It's behind this wall, but you can't get to it because the bank president died.
Well, then I would suggest, hey, seems like a stick of dynamite or a some demolition or some something might be in order. Surely you could do that, right?
You would think, right? And that's the kind of that's kind of the interesting, when you think about it from that standpoint, you're like, oh, well, that's just ridiculous, right? Because surely you could blow up you could drill the vault door, or there's some, like, I've watched movies, right? There's always some
There's
guy
always
who
a
can
back door.
there's
Yeah.
always somebody who can come in and break into the vault. Well, yeah, that's what, when you're talking about a physical vault, I think that's probably right. One
Well,
way or the other, you could probably get into it.
Unless the bank says, oh no, not this vault. It was designed to withstand a nuclear Armageddon.
Yeah, right.
And then nobody can get in. What are we gonna do now?
And so that kind of that leads us up to the story here. There's a guy who and his name was Gerald Cotton.
Gerald Cotton.
Yes,
Okay.
Gerald Cotton. He's a young guy, and he was early on into this whole cryptocurrency business.
Yeah, and I, I'm catching up on this, John. So, the cryptocurrency it's a something of value, but it's electronic only.
Right.
I mean, there's no paper money. There's not even, you can't get any physical manifestation of it. It is basically value and credits on the computer.
Yeah, and so it's basically a computer program, and actually it's actually just kind of a math formula, as I understand it.
Okay. Yeah, we might be getting a little off. Well,
yeah, lawyers, not
cryptocurrency experts.
Yeah, cryptocurrency experts. But you've heard about this stuff, right? The
Yeah.
Bitcoin and things like that. And so, yeah, you've got this digital currency out there, and people buy and sell stuff with this cryptocurrency. In some of the big cities, you can walk into a coffee shop and buy a coffee using your cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I've seen on like travel websites, if you're purchasing a travel package, it'll say, you want to use your Visa, your MasterCard, or it'll have a slot where you can use your Bitcoin or your cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so there's lots of different, you can use it out there. You can buy and sell cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people are trying to use it as an investment where they think the price is low. The exchange rate between $1 and a Bitcoin, and they're going to try to buy some of it and then turn around and sell it when the price of the Bitcoin goes up.
Yeah, kind of like gold or silver.
Yeah, like you would with gold or silver. So it is a currency, just like any other currency, except that there's just no physical presence of it. All right, now here's the interesting thing. And again, I don't do this stuff, so I'm just scratching the surface
Sure.
of this weirdness. But as I understand it, you can, between the cryptocurrencies, you can have what they refer to as a hot storage and a cold storage.
Okay.
So a hot storage, think of it like your checking account.
Okay.
All right. So this is where you've got some Bitcoin.
And it's accessible, pretty accessible.
And it's very accessible. So when you walk into that coffee shop, you can pull up your app on your phone or whatever where you trade Bitcoin for goods and services, and you can click and boom, bam, it pays the coffee shop. You get your latte out the door.
Okay.
All right. Much like a checking account, right? If you have a checking account, you got a debit card.
That's pretty hot storage right there.
That's hot storage, right? And what happens if somebody else gets a hold of that debit card?
Well, they could potentially use it.
Yeah, they could use it. They could wipe your account clean,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Well, these hot accounts, because they're easily accessible, they're also potentially subject to hacking.
everything is subject to hacking.
Right. So they're on the net, they're open out there, so they are subject to hacking. And so
I can see where you might want to keep most of it, it sounds like, in maybe cold storage.
Right. And so that's where you get the idea of cold storage. So, and remember, this is all on computers out there in the world, right?
Yeah. So to me, that sounds kind of like your cold storage would be kind of like if you had a CD at the bank. I mean, it's your money.
Right.
But you've signed a contract and you're going to leave it in that CD for 6 months.
Right. So yeah, it's less accessible.
Right. It's less accessible. It's not connected to your checking account. It's not an overdraft protection. So you've got your checking account or debit card, which is your hot storage. You've got your CD that's your money's tied up for 6 months over in the cold storage.
That's right. And the way I understand it is that this cold storage is off the net to some extent.
Okay, so yeah, so it's not as subject to hacking.
Right, so it wouldn't be subject to hacking because it's segregated there from the hard line into the world of the internet and all of that. Well, so that's our foundation here. We're just trying to give you a little background on cryptocurrency so we can get into this whole,
like Paul Harvey used to say, so we can get into the rest of the story.
That's right. So we're going to be talking about this here in a second. When we come back, we got to take a quick break. Stick around.
Or Lisa, call 903-793.
And let's be perfectly honest, neither Lisa nor I know jack crap.
Well, I mean, I didn't know where you were going because I had not followed the story as much.
Yeah, but yeah, so I guess it's you've got this cold storage, and this is literally like like the server we have at our office.
Right. It's not really connected.
There's a hard drive, it's easily disconnected from the internet, and if you're disconnected from the internet completely, then
can't hack it.
Then you can't hack it, right? Yeah. So that's the cold storage. And then I guess, and again, don't know, but I guess then if you're a consumer and you want access to your Bitcoin that's in cold storage, you somehow reach out to them and ask them to move Bitcoin from cold storage into your hot storage, where you can now go out and buy and sell goods.
Okay.
So that's where we're at in all of this.
Okay.
And when we come back from the radio break, we're going to talk about this Gerald. I think it's Gerald. Let me make sure I'm saying his name correctly. Yeah, Gerald Cotton. And basically what Gerald Cotton did is he ran a company that did cold storage.
Okay. So he had a vault company.
He essentially had a vault company.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's who we're talking about, is this Gerald, and he was I think he was a Canadian guy, as a matter of fact. Yeah, he's a Canadian guy, and all of this stuff is young. This bit call that. I mean, we're talking last 10 years, 5 to 10 years that most of this stuff.
Well, and because I remember it hasn't been as hot in the news lately, but a year or so ago they were talking about all the Bitcoin mining, that people would set up computer programs to try to find these to solve these mathematical formulas to unlock some currency that was maybe on the internet somewhere.
Yeah.
And but they were talking about, like, in Russia and China, like, all these people were connecting together all these computers to get the computing power necessary to try all of these different mathematical combinations. And it was, draining power, crazy.
Yeah. And so it's fascinatingly strange to the old fogies.
Well, and it's one of those things. If somebody makes you an offer like, oh, you can invest in this cryptocurrency and you'll make all this money, if you don't understand it, don't invest in it. That's my financial advice right there.
That's me. All right, we're heading back live, so here we go.
Have a question? Phone 903-793-1071. Now back to Aging Insight with John and Lisa.
Well, welcome back, everyone. This is Lisa Shoalmire, and I'm here with John Ross on Aging Insight. And for our listeners that are sticking with us here,
If you've stuck around this long,
we're talking about cryptocurrency, and just stick with us. We've got a good tie-in for us normal folks.
That's right. For the rest of us.
So John was talking about the idea that you could have cryptocurrency, and if you had it in hot storage, like a checking account, you could use it to pay for goods and services, kind of every day, like you would dollars. But if you wanted to have your savings, you wanted to have it in what they call cold storage in the crypto world.
That's right.
Where it wasn't accessible, so that way you could protect it better from hacking. And so now remember, all this is electronic. So even your cryptocurrency that is in cold storage is on a computer, essentially.
That's right. Yeah.
And the idea is that this computer that is representing the cold storage, where you stored your cryptocurrency or your Bitcoin, it's not live connected into the internet.
That's right.
Okay, so John, let's tell the rest of the story.
Right, so
here.
now let's get to the rest of the story. So we've got this guy named Gerald Cotton. And for those of you who are listening on the radio, you can go to Facebook and check us out there. And I've got a picture of Gerald on there. Gerald founded a company that was called Quadriga.
Okay.
And it's actually Quadriga CX, which stands for cryptocurrency. So it's Quadriga cryptocurrency. And basically, Quadriga is a cold storage.
So it's like a vault company for cryptocurrency.
That's right. And I guess it was relatively popular, at least, and it's a Canadian company. There was about 115,000 investors that were storing their Bitcoin with Quadriga.
Okay, so we had essentially 115,000 depositors, if you want to call it that.
That's right.
Who were using Quadriga as essentially their bank vault.
That's right. And they've got all their Bitcoin in there to the tune of about $190 million in the equivalent of US currency.
Okay, so 200 million in value is sitting on this in this Quadriga company. It's sort of in an electronic vault.
That's right. It's in an electronic vault. Well, the company is run by this Gerald Cotton guy, CEO, co-founder, 30 years old. Now, he had Crohn's disease.
Okay.
And then I don't know much about Crohn's disease either. I know about as much about that as I do about Bitcoin.
Okay. But it was a condition that he had.
It was a condition. And on December the 9th, just here last year, while traveling to India to set up an orphanage, Gerald Cotton died at 30 years old.
So when he was the CEO of this electronic vault company.
Well, and not only was he the CEO, he was the only person that had the password to get into it.
So kind of like we started the show, like if the bank president is the only one with the vault code or vault combination and dies, then you can't get into the vault.
And so right now we have with Quadriga, there's $190 million of other people's money that is completely inaccessible because this good dude died and nobody knows the password.
Oh, geez.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right. We have to take a bottom of the hour break for the news. So stick with us. We'll be back right after this. So 190 million bucks, somebody else's money.
Lots of somebody else's
Lots
money.
of somebody else's monies.
Yeah, I was reading one of the story about this on an article, and they said that essentially he practically ran this business off his laptop.
Yeah, and I mean,
he was married, and his widow, she says she doesn't know the password.
Right.
And she can't get into his laptop.
Yeah, and that's basically right. Cotton had the only, I'm reading this from an article, Cotton had the only password to the cold storage accounts. He left no record of the password. And I guess the computer or whatever it is that they need to access to do this is heavily encrypted.
Well, I mean, on the one hand, I could see that if he was going to carry a laptop with him with this kind of access, you'd want it to be encrypted and secure to where if you left it at the airport or something, someone couldn't just pick up that laptop and move money around.
Right.
But on the other hand, you would think that he would have shared that password with someone that he trusted, part of his company, or written it down and deposited it with, an escrow holder, or something that if he died, that, authorize. There's so many ways that this could have been avoided.
Well, and there's some indication by the wife that I guess maybe he had told her that he had it somewhere, the password, but she's looked where he had said it was and it's not there.
And if you're his widow and you've got 100,000 people, account holders, and $200 million, I don't know. I might be a little concerned for my safety. I mean, personally.
Yeah. Well, and that is something to consider because, the digital currency is also a black market currency.
Yes. And so a lot of, I will say, I have no idea, but it has been rumored that some people that engage in unscrupulous and perhaps illegal type business transactions
maybe
use cryptocurrency as opposed to dollars or some other form of, legitimate currency.
Yeah, and so and we'll visit about this, but yeah, I mean, basically, they have the wife has essentially filed for bankruptcy.
Sure.
And they're asking basically for a stay on the wall of lawsuits that are heading their direction.
Oh, yeah.
They're asking the bankruptcy court to essentially stay all of the lawsuits as they try to figure out how to break the password. And again, I've seen all these movies.
Yeah, I know.
There's always some little techie nerd person that has some secret squirrel program that'll break the password. Apparently, that's not reality.
Apparently.
Who knew that the theater didn't imitate real life?
Well, and I understand that the encryption programs and all, that's a big concern for a lot of governments that, terrorist or rebel type outfits would use encryption. Gosh, John, I think there was a shooting spree out in California a couple of years ago, and a husband and wife and their iPhones were encrypted.
Right.
And they couldn't get into the iPhones to see what kind of preparations they may have done or communications they may have had.
That's right.
So, yeah, I think that encryption, the right programs, there's no messing with it.
Yeah. And we'll probably talk about this, but yeah, I've read another article is in all of our research for today's show. And yeah, that was one of the things they were saying. Yeah, you go back 10 years ago and then you could hack a phone, but not these new ones. All right, here we go live.
Have a question? Phone 903-793-1071. Now back to Aging Insight with John and Lisa.
Well, welcome to Aging Insight, everybody. This is your host, John Ross, here live in the studio with Lisa Shoalmire. And we finished off the first half of the hour talking about Gerald Cotton, the founder of a cryptocurrency exchange, Quadriga. And basically, think of this like a bank. And he's got $190 million of other people's money in his bank. He has done now, and when we say bank, we're basically talking about a laptop.
Right. Yeah. It was a laptop.
because there is no physical office for Quadriga. There's no, you can't walk in and meet the teller. It's entirely basically on his laptop. He dies. He's the only person with the password to get into to get access to that $190 million worth of Bitcoin, and it's about to be a train wreck.
I was about to say, John, I'm guessing there's some upset people.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be my guess. Mr. Cotton was married at the time of his death, and again, I think he was 30 years old.
He was 30, yeah, so he's a young guy.
So I think he died on a trip to India.
Yep.
So he was making a trip, did not plan, obviously, to pass on, but then again, he was, he had a medical condition. He's traveling. You should have thought about that. But anywho, he died. He left a wife behind, and now everybody's eyeballing her. Well, where's the password? What do you know about all this? And she's kind of really stuck because she claims that she doesn't know the password. That at one time he did share with her that that he was leaving the password in a safe, secure location, and told her where it was. But she said she went and looked there, and the password's not there. So she has filed bankruptcy in order to try to protect herself and before all the lawsuits start rolling in. So John, the idea here is, is the money just locked up, or is it gone?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's certainly, and that's the thing, is the encryption, is so strong that really, if they can't break into it, it's there, but it's completely inaccessible. And if it's inaccessible, then it essentially has no more value.
Right. So yeah, no, it's kind of like if you went to the bank and they said, yeah, you have a CD here at the bank, and we've got records. It shows that you got $25,000 in that CD, but we can't give it to you.
Yeah, no, you can't have it.
And well, when can I get it?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. Maybe never.
Maybe never.
So that is a situation going on. And John, we have had a handful of clients that do own cryptocurrency in our area, and it's not a particularly common electronic or digital asset as of yet. However, John, almost every client we have has some digital assets.
Right, and that's the real story here. Is thinking in context of digital assets. Now, your digital assets may have limited value, but let's just say that you have a Facebook account. We're broadcasting this live on Facebook right now. This video here will be recorded and stored on Facebook's server.
Yes.
That is a digital asset.
Right.
If you've ever uploaded a picture onto Facebook, you took yourself a selfie and uploaded it onto Facebook, or maybe maybe you like my parents. They've been for the last several years. They've been scanning old photos.
Right. Taking physical, you can touch them, photographs.
Yeah, turning them into digital photographs, which they're now storing on computers. Or, a lot of times people are uploading those sort of things to storage centers in the cloud.
Right. There's Google Drive, there's iDrive with Apple, there's Dropbox. There's all kinds of media storage units up in the cloud, and so people are storing all kinds of things. It's we easily think of things like photographs, but there's photographs, John. There's writings, emails, blogs where people are musing about whatever's going on in their life. And you may not think of those as having any, actual monetary value. However, for those of you who have lost a loved one, lost a parent or a grandparent, those photographs, those handwritten letters, those things are just they're so valuable to you as a family. And we are really converting a lot of that into digital media.
That's right.
And John, it's really kind of the wild, wild west out there as far as dealing with that and through estate planning or upon someone's death. In the case here with Mr. Cotton and his cryptocurrency business, he clearly had no estate plan. In a legitimate business world, someone who's running a depository institution with $200 million in it, I bet in the United States, some banking regulators would have you have some, disaster recovery plans in place.
You would think, yeah.
But we wasn't expecting to pass on. But John, every day I visit with clients, and even if they're doing their estate planning, most of them are not expecting
to die right now.
And
although I did have several people this week who have put off their estate planning well into their 60s or 70s, and then became very concerned about, well, what happens if something happens in the next week before we get it contracted?
Yeah, I've had that happen as well. But so what's your disaster recovery plan? If you think about your spouse, if they're really into posting pictures on Facebook or that kind of thing, what could you access that if that person died?
Yeah. And same thing with email accounts. Think about all the emails maybe you've sent back and forth, maybe to family or friends or or business associates, whatever you're using your email accounts for, but you've got a password to get into that thing.
Right. And I was reading the story of a lady, and her husband died unexpectedly. He was in his early 40s. And she said, we had planned for this. I knew all of his passwords.
Uh-huh.
But she didn't know all of his usernames.
Oh, yeah.
So she would go to a website, and he had written down that his password for that site was a certain password, but she couldn't figure out his username. And this particular account she was talking about was the electric company.
Oh, yeah.
And he had their bill set up on, an
automatic
account.
payment.
There's paperless billing. It wasn't automatic payment. It was paperless billing.
I see.
And so she tried to get onto the account. She couldn't recall the username. I guess she couldn't retrieve it. She called the electric company to have them send a paper bill, a good old-fashioned paper bill. They delayed in getting it out. They finally got it out, but her electricity got turned off.
Right.
And so she said, I had lost my husband. I didn't generally know what day of the week it was for, during that period. And of course, your electric bill you paid every month. So that's obviously she's grappling with this death, and all of a sudden her electricity gets cut off.
Yeah.
Because of this. So that's how immediate this issue can be.
Yeah. And so the point here is that estate planning, as you're planning, particularly for incapacity and death, where you will not be able to handle these sort of things yourself, including digital accounts, digital assets, and access to those things into your estate planning is going to be critically important. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our last break of the show, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the things that you need to be doing to get ready for all of this. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Into Aging Insight with John Ross and Lisa Shoalmire.
Yeah, that was loud.
Call 903-793.
Yeah, no, I get almost all of the bills.
Right. We might need to think about
that.
Yeah,
via some sort of email or something like that. Well, and that's the problem is I would have to actually sit down and do it, because I have gotten somewhat lazy now.
Where you've saved everything.
Where I've saved a lot of
computer.
them. So as long as you got as long as you were on the main computer, you could probably just by pulling up the website, it would autofill
Right.
a lot of those.
Yeah, but sometimes that expires or your cookies get erased or something.
Yeah, no, that stuff does happen. I mean, you lose those passwords and things. The other problem, and this is the one that I've always, I won't say it's the only reason I've delayed doing something like that, right? But the other thing that I've always thought about was, okay, so if I sat down right now and I made a list of all the usernames, all the passwords for all the accounts, one, inevitably I'm going to forget a couple, I would think. But two, kind of like we were talking about earlier with the office, in 6 months, I'm going to log into one of these and they're going to tell me I have to change the password. And now I've got to change that password and I've got to remember to go back to wherever my little list is and change the list. And
now, see, I'm ahead of you on this because we'll talk about this after the break, but I use a program called LastPass.
Mm-hmm.
And it saves all the passwords, but I probably need to let you know what the LastPass.
But if you can't get into LastPass, then you can't do jack squat. That's right. So there's always something there, I guess. Well, and then of course there's the flip side of this of what if you don't want them?
Well, yeah, that's the other issue.
Maybe you've got some online content out there that you don't want anybody to be privy to.
You projecting?
No, I'm just talking generally speaking. There are some people that maybe want to keep certain things private. I don't know. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, and there have been some legal changes that have come around just in the last 2 or 3 years, which we'll talk about as well. So we're going back on the show here. I was going to look and see how many states have adopted this law.
I think maybe Oklahoma.
It's like 40 states. That way we'll be, this is the kind of high level pre-research we do. All right, here we go back on the show.
Phone 903-793-1071. Now back to Aging Insight with John and Lisa.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to our final segment today on Aging Insight. And today we're talking about digital assets. Started with a great story about a gentleman who, lost or died with the password to a couple $100 million. But if we kind of par it down to our level, we have assets that include some very dear and personal assets such as photographs and things. But John, we live in such a world that so many things are digital, and in fact some companies basically force you to do digital. I know, for instance, like this year, the State Bar of Texas, they are not sending out any paper forms for dues.
Right. It's just email.
It's all online.
All online. That's right.
But and if you're a senior, lots of seniors these days have certainly learned to use computers. Obviously our retirees or our younger retirees, they were using those in their jobs. So, but if you really sat down and thought about it, and you thought about what you do with your computer, you may access bank accounts, you may do social media, you may shop, such as Amazon. John, a big one that a lot of seniors do is they order their medications online.
Right.
Because through SilverScript and some of the medication, the online pharmacies, it's a much cheaper retail cost. Mm-hmm. And so they order their 90-day supply.
Arkansas, when Arkansas expanded their Medicaid program, they basically required everybody to enroll online.
Yes, and there was a
cost-saving measure.
Yeah, there was a big deal about that, talking about does everyone have access to online?
Right.
So, you may not really think you have much, but
but die and find out.
Yeah.
And so to do this, a lot of the online businesses have already stepped up to this. So things like Facebook and Google, many of these have already established ways within their own system that you can do. And so, I often think about this like, you could go to the bank and you could name a pay on death beneficiary on your checking account.
Sure.
Right. Well, like with Facebook, for example, you can go into the account section on Facebook and you can set up what's called a legacy contact. And basically,
does that have to be another Facebook user?
I believe it does actually have to be another Facebook user, because essentially what you do is you put in their name in Facebook and it finds their Facebook account, and then you make them your legacy contact. That person then, upon providing proof of death, is now that account gets turned over to them, although they only have limited rights to it.
Right. And I think they have a very limited time to make a decision whether or not to delete the account or to turn it into what they call a memorial account.
Right.
Where essentially no one else can log into that account, and it almost becomes like a memory wall.
Right.
And I've seen these accounts, unfortunately, I have lost classmates and things like that, to where, a holiday or a birthday will come up and people will continue to post on that account about, missing that individual. And it's really nice, actually.
Yeah. And I think you can actually and I've kind of put up a screenshot from Facebook that I pulled this morning. And I think as you go through there, you personally can decide what you want done with your account, whether, if it's to be deleted or turned into a memorial account, or if your legacy contact will be, that person.
Yeah, and you said Google also has a similar type situation?
Yeah, Google's got a similar deal, and I've got a screenshot of that up on the Facebook as well. But yeah, they have a successor account manager. So it works the same sort of deal. You can provide a particular contact. That person would be able to then step in and access your emails and things like that. And a lot of this has come from litigation.
Yes.
Over the last, frankly, the last 5 or 6 years.
Well, John, I remember one of the very first cases that I recall on this was a young man who had a Yahoo account. And he was an active duty military person, and he was killed in the course of his duty. And his family desperately wanted to access his Yahoo account, because there'd been a number of emails that he'd, back and forth, and photos, and they knew he had emailed other folks and included photographs and things like that. And so, and Yahoo said, oh, wait, no, a user only has a license to use the Yahoo tools, including email, and that license expires upon death.
Right.
And so the family sued, and I do believe in that case they were able to get certain content.
Yeah,
from
there were some
account.
compromises, I think, ultimately. But even on the celebrity side of things, going back about 5 or 6 years ago, there was a big issue between Bruce Willis and Apple. Bruce Willis had bought upwards of around $1 million worth of songs in his iTunes library.
Okay.
And apparently being
must be nice to be rich.
Yeah, apparently. And being somewhat, I guess, a sophisticated planner, he was making plans with his estate planning team as it related to his $1 million worth of iTunes songs. And as they contacted Apple said, we don't have any idea what you're worried about, because the minute you die, you don't own any of these songs anymore.
Even though they say, to purchase this song is 99 cents.
Right.
Or $1.29.
Except that, buried in all of that language was that, you are purchasing a right to occupy or to use that during your lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so there was some litigation back and forth. So a lot of these places have done their own sort of thing. But just like anything else, we tell people all the time, yeah, sure, you can go and name beneficiaries on most of your stuff, but the fact is, you can walk into a probate court on any Monday morning when they're having probate, and there's a whole bunch of people getting appointed as executors and administrators of estates because somebody missed something.
Right. They thought they had planned for everything, but they didn't, and now we're still stuck in the court system because we need to get some legal papers.
Yeah, and so there were some questions as to whether or not an executor or trustee of a trust or whatever that or power of attorney, whether any of those people actually had legal authority to access these digital assets. And that's where they finally got around. There's these groups of mystery people that make up laws.
Right. I don't know how they have time to do this, but they are like think tanks or working boards or something, and
Yes.
they come up with laws.
They come up with laws, and these are often referred to as uniform laws.
Yes, because basically these experts come up with some proposed laws that then they trot around to all the states and suggest to the state legislatures that they should adopt them.
Yes, and then the states then could take that if they wanted to and make a law. And so they came up with, after a couple of different drafts, they came up with something called the Revised Uniform Fiduciary Access to Digital Assets Act. RUFADA.
RUFADA.
That's what we're going to call it.
Okay. So,
And this was just in 2015.
yeah, so I'm sure that there's how many have our local states, John?
Well,
adopted it?
and I was looking at it, and according to one article, it said that it's been adopted by more than 40 states. I found another article that kind of broke it down, and in Senate Bill 1193 in the state of Texas, signed by the governor on June 1st, 2017, adopted the
RUFADA.
RUFADA.
So it's now effective in Texas as of September 1st of 2017.
Now, Lisa, flip a coin.
Well,
do you think Arkansas is ahead of the game on this one?
I wouldn't think so, John. But Oklahoma was out there real early, and I wouldn't have thought that either.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, Arkansas has not passed the RUFADA. And neither has Louisiana.
That's also not surprising.
Also not surprising. But basically what this law is saying is that yes, your executor does have certain access to do certain things. Now it is somewhat limited, but
it's a start. I mean, it's bringing some clarity and bringing some regulation, bringing some law to the Wild West.
Yeah, but basically what it boils down to is if those terms of service, that little button that you click.
Well, yeah, when you become a Yahoo user.
Yeah, that controls unless you're putting in your estate planning other stuff that says that my executor, my power of attorney, can do these sort of things. So I would challenge any of you right now that have a power of attorney in place or have a will in place, pull that thing out, look at it, and see if you can find the word password anywhere in the document.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you now know it's time to update your stuff.
It is now time to update Ross and Shoalmire. We deal with digital assets in all of our documents.
That's right. So interesting stuff. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again next weekend. So we'll see you then.
Thanks.
Aging Insight with John Ross and Lisa Shoalmire.
And we will see y'all later as well.
For more
Thanks for watching.
on KTFS. The proceeding.